We'll give away a Lambo. No.
You're buying it. He said it. Nah, I like it. That's going to be the thingy, the intro now, the trailer. That's going to be it now. That's it. Yeah. He's going to say, we're going to bring away a Lambo, and then everyone's going to click
Watch.
Yeah. Well, welcome everyone to another Words of Rizdom podcast. We are back for part 2 with Tanz.
Hello, everyone. Hello. Thank you for having me.
No, it's always a pleasure, man. And I think it was necessary to have you back. Best performing podcast episode so far.
Yeah, it's done well.
You know, and I think it'll probably, even when this comes out, probably still be the number 1. But we're in a different studio today. Maybe look a little bit different. I actually like it. Maybe it might be the new home. But Tanz, obviously off the feedback was incredible for the last episode. People really took a lot of value from hearing your story, and they all thanked you as well for sharing something that's not easy, something that's been very personal, very deep, and probably an extremely difficult time for you. And as I said on the day, and even today, thank you for doing that, because I've said it to a lot of people now that you probably wouldn't know because you weren't there, but I've said to a lot of people that I learned a lot from that episode, and my level of gratitude in life generally really increased thanks to your story and you being able to share that. So no, I thank you again.
Yeah, all good.
But today I'm going to be trying to improve my skills as a podcaster, because one of the feedback that we did get was people wanted to hear from you more, and even my wife said to me that I am quick to jump in. And sort of throw my thoughts out there, which is something I do know. So what we're going to do is, there was a coffee, we just grabbed a coffee outside, we found these ginger shots. So just as I don't know why I said to do it, to be honest with you, but we'll have these ginger shots and then we'll crack on.
Well, I'm going to have the whole thing in one go.
Yeah, it's like proper
That's a big shot though.
It really is, but we're going to do it. What's worse, like one go or having it twice?
Yeah, true.
You ready, yeah? Not too bad, to be fair. I feel tricked. It's not actually that much ginger at all.
Oh.
I was expecting us to be like proper screw face and everything.
The last one I had was
strong.
It was burning.
Yeah. This one's probably diluted.
This one's quite nice. It's got like lemon. Oh, it has got lemon in it. Yeah.
Counterbalance.
This one's quite nice.
That was actually quite nice. It kind of didn't go to plan. But I think people probably were like, "Oh no, they're going to do it."
I know, yeah.
But no, we handle it. That was actually, but why did we do that? That was strong as hell, man. But I didn't feel anything.
I didn't feel anything at all.
But tell me, what? We'll jump straight into something, because I did try and get some feedback literally 5 minutes before we started or before we met, of trying to ask people any sort of follow-up topics. And there was one topic which was, it's kind of not related to what we were talking about, but I think it could be very beneficial, which was in your journey when you were kind of getting to that cusp, getting to that edge of being consistent and profitable.
Yeah.
And you kind of got the final few steps. How did you get through that bit, and what was it maybe for you that those final few steps looked like?
In terms of reaching consistency, I assume you're
Yes.
talking about. Yeah. I think, when I started learning, I was at uni.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't have anything coming in. So I had the stress of being a uni student.
Mm-hmm.
I plugged in my grant into my trading account, which obviously wasn't the wisest decision.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously grateful that I didn't have to pay for my uni course.
Yeah.
So I was very thankful for that. So I was okay. I put basically whatever I had into my trading account, but I had the stress of making that work, because I didn't have anything else. I mean, I was working in Next on Saturdays, but it wasn't like amazing.
Yeah.
But because of that, I think I wasn't performing as good as I could be, because I was trying to force it to make it work. I noticed the biggest difference was, when I left and started working for the NHS, I noticed that my consistency developed there because I didn't have that attachment to make trading work. The only stress I had was I was trying to pay off my first car, and that balloon payment was like just over $3,000.
Yeah, I remember
it was my Toyota Yaris, great car.
You still got it, haven't you?
Yeah, I still got it. I'm not gonna get until it dies. I'm not gonna get rid of it. It's
Why
you know
not?
what? It's such a solid car.
Plus, I can imagine there's probably like almost a sentimental aspect to it because of this story, which I'll let you continue. Sorry.
No. That's the main reason why I kept it. But because I was getting paid anyway, I didn't feel like I needed trading to work. So if it didn't work, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's not an issue. I still had physio at that point. Well, I mean, it was okay pay, but at least it was something, innit?
Of course, yeah.
So that took away the pressure completely. And I think if I didn't have that, I don't think I would have reached that level of consistency that I have now, because I never had that real attachment to money as in that case. I mean, the pay wasn't, as I said, the pay wasn't amazing. It was the NHS at that time.
Of course, yeah.
But it was something. It was
giving you, it wasn't like you had to do that work and then had to find more money.
Yeah.
So it was covering what was necessary, but it also wasn't giving you the elevation that you wanted.
No, it was tight months to be fair. And I was living, so I lived in Oxford at that time, which isn't cheap anyway.
Yeah.
Great place to live though. But yeah, because of that, I was far more relaxed. I noticed the difference there. And I think the biggest change was when I was at uni, I had a lot of time because obviously, so I mean, your typical uni day,
Yeah.
you don't actually spend a lot of time. I mean, you should be, but we're spending more time, like obviously learning and revising.
Yeah.
But I had so much time, and I think I was trying to trade. I was trading way too much. I was literally trading. As soon as I got home, I would sit there, start literally buy, sell. I didn't even know what I was doing, by the way, at this point. I was trying to test. And you know what? Buying and selling randomly, it did work to an extent. Like I had some massive like account flips. But obviously it's not the best. Don't do it. Don't do that. Because I did eventually like lose majority of it.
Of course.
But I had the good habit of taking money out.
Yeah.
But as soon as I left, I realized I can be far more relaxed. The edge that I was trading was very relaxed. It was based on daily, the daily bias bars in terms of having a daily engulfing candle. And they were just position trading. So there'll be like massive swings over a good few weeks or even a month even. So it was very relaxed. My trading count grew massively from trading less. And I think I've noticed that's a big thing to sort of overcome, because I think a lot of people think the more you trade, the more money you'll make. But they forget about the exposure. There's more exposure, obviously, with when you start trading more.
Yeah.
What was the question?
It's like the final steps. Like when you find yourself kind of, that you're onto something. That you have a little bit more to find or piece together, and you will then see that consistency. What was it for you, or how did you get through that stage? Because I feel like some people, when they're at that stage, they probably have a sense of rushing, maybe even a sense of fear, because they might have felt something similar before and then dip back down. So what was it kind of, how did you get through that part to get to that consistency? And then how, what was it maybe for you that those final moments looked like?
I think, so I never had the fear of executing. I didn't have the fear of losing money. Obviously it was annoying, but it's a weird thing. I never had that, the ginger shot getting to you.
No, just
I could feel it, to be fair. It's like I could feel like bubbling coming.
It's an aftershock.
I know it's affecting us now. What was I saying? Sorry.
Can you imagine? I actually had the plan of doing a hot wings challenge on the podcast, and then I remembered
maybe next time.
Yeah, well, I remembered that if we did that, there'd be no conversation because we'll be there sweating, and recovering, but it would be entertaining. But yeah, man. I don't know if it is a ginger shot or not. I mean,
nah, I could feel
something
now.
Yeah.
But yeah, because I didn't have that fear of actually executing or losing money, all I needed was to have some sort of financial security to know that, I'll be okay. I don't need trading to work. And I think that is the only thing that led to my consistency. I think it's a weird one, especially when I've like mentioned it in our Discord. I've always said about how my consistency was developed. It's purely because, oh no, you know what? It was the main thing that got me consistent was having a mechanical edge. Because I don't know if I mentioned in the last one about when I tried technical analysis, literally didn't work for me at all. I couldn't grasp it at all. For me, it was too challenging. But because of having a mechanical edge, when you have literally straight, like, fixed rules, and and it's so simple, that's my consistency there. That's what.
It's very interesting, because that's what the same for me. By having the step by step and simple.
Yeah.
The main word being simple. It's the exact same for me.
Yeah. Doesn't mean it's easy.
Oh yeah.
No, that doesn't mean it's easy. I think, you know what, when I was learning from WB, the hardest part was I was following the rules to the T, and it wasn't working for some reason.
Yeah.
And this is my last year of uni. It just wasn't working. You'd have some like winning trades, but then what I noticed was I wasn't actually following the rules I thought I was following it to the T, but what I was doing, I adjusted it to, basically I adjusted his daily bias and swing moves to like the hourly 15-minute.
Okay.
And obviously that doesn't work. And I thought, because I'm following the exact same rules, the stats should technically be the same. But yeah, it wasn't. And until I went back and reverted back to actually sticking to the plan and the rule that was given to me, that's when I started achieving the results. It was boring. And I have to admit, I don't know if trading's like, I'd gone to that point for you yet, but when it's boring, I found that that's when you're doing it right. I know a lot of people say it, but
no, I agree. I do agree. It's like the way I see it is like, you can be excited about, I'm passionate about trading.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to be a trader still, So I'm still like, it's not that case where it's like, I'm just gonna get on the chart, just okay, done this, done that, and I'm not feeling enthusiastic. I think people have this misconception because, being on Twitter, for example, people have a lot more conversations in comparison to all these other social media platforms. So on Twitter, people will talk about, and I've been seeing loads of themes where someone said something yesterday actually, or the other day, why do people keep saying trading is boring? Why is that becoming a thing? I'm always excited. Yeah. And I got it. I understood, because it's like, I feel like also the problem with words, just written form, is you can't give the context.
No.
So when I say it's boring, and I'm sure it's probably similar for you, it's more a case where it's like, it's not that gambling feeling, It's not that euphoric high every day and excitement winning, and then also the depression of losing and being down losing, right? Yeah. It's just, what we mean by boring is really just balanced, just nice and calm, chilled approach. Excitement-wise, I'm passionate still, but no, I completely agree. Like, my trading in itself, the execution, that's just the same, monotonous. It's like turning up to the job. That's why I say, like, for you to perform your job, and the reason we hate jobs normally is because it's the same thing, repetitive. Yeah. But the thing with trading is it's pretty similar in that sense. Like, your job is to turn up and do the same thing every day, right? And that's boring, right? That's the bit which we refer to as boring. What we mean is just repetitive, right? It's the same thing. But you can be excited about being a trader, excited to, analyze the charts. I still feel excitements of analyzing and getting my analysis right. Right, when it hits right, I'm still like, that felt good.
Yeah, no, I know that.
You know what I mean? Yeah. But no, I completely agree. But like with what was I saying? Oh, so one thing I was going to ask actually, because you talked about when you got the consistency, you were sort of swing trading, position trading, but now I know you're the complete opposite.
Yeah.
Where not only scalping, but you use the seconds, right?
Yeah.
So how did that transition happen? Because I used to swing trade and now I scalp.
Yeah.
So how did that happen for you?
So when I started doing mechanical rules for using SMC and that, I was doing full-on high time frame swings on that. But the problem was I was setting alerts, and the time would be like, it'd be random times throughout the day.
Of course.
I didn't feel like I had much structure. And at that point, I was heavily involved in my physio business, where sometimes I just didn't have the time. And then it was in 2020 summer, where we found that we were waiting ages for our POIs to be met, and we were waiting ages for like, our swings to play out. Not even that. Sometimes you wait for your POI to be reached and it'll be completely violated. And then I've just missed a counter trend. I was so following pro trend to the point where I wouldn't even look at like buying against or anything.
When
like
you
that.
swing trading is one of the better options.
Yeah. And then I found that it wasn't it was working. It was fine, but I felt like I know I can do more. Then in my head, I'm thinking, why can't we do this on a lower scale?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's exactly the same process.
Yep.
You just need, for us, we just need our setup time frame and confirmation time frame. That's all you need. We tested it. So me and James, we both tested it heavily, just using the lower time frames. He would test New York. I was testing London.
Mm-hmm.
And then we found the amount that you can compound just from doing those sessions is incredible. So from then is when I realized that I can literally trade in the morning and then be done with my day. And then I stopped trading New York completely, kept my whole day free basically. And then I switched to just trading the lower time frames. And what's funny enough, my biggest swing has come from a scalp trade, which is bizarre. Yeah.
Oh, did you hold it?
Yeah, I held it. So if so once I've entered the scalp, I would always check the higher time frame to see if there's any like structure that needs to be taken out, or you know, if there's any swing potential. Because if you're on a scalp in the higher time frame direction anyway, then you know you have a good chance of catching a swing, and that's how I got my biggest swing. I mean, James is holding. I mean, bear in mind, it's taking like loads of partials at the minute, but he's holding a GU sell, which is like over 1 to 1,000. I said partials were taken,
but it's possible.
That's from a scalp. There was no. We do a high time frame on Mondays, so we understand the overall direction.
Exactly, yeah.
And the rest of it is done on lower time frame. But it just changed my quality of life, because 7 to 9, I'm done. You know, you have so much time.
Well, that's why people get into trading, isn't it? Freedom. Yeah. You know, and I actually wanted to thank you for that. And
I noticed. Yeah.
I'm glad you brought it up. And it's something I've recently made a Telegram channel called the Pockets of Rizdom. Everything's Rizdom. That's it. It's branded it. It
fits nicely, to be fair.
It does. You know who came up with it? My wife. My wife came up with
it. Doesn't really work on mine, to be fair.
We'll find one. We'll find one for you. But yeah, I just made a channel, and in that channel, the second video, first one was like, what is this channel? It's just a free psychology channel. For me, it's a legacy play in my book, in terms of that's something that will always be there. It's completely free. It's going to help people shift their mindsets and just give people something to think about, converse on. And that was the purpose behind it. Anyway, the first official video in terms of me talking was something I called Pieces to the Puzzle. And funnily enough, I actually wanted to add you in there. I was just, because again, as I said to you earlier, I don't plan anything. So I kind of just went off the cuff. I had written a few names down. But essentially the piece of the puzzle for me was me reflecting on, you know, for me to be where I am right now, I've had to collect pieces and keys, if you will, nuggets of information or experience or whatever it may be from other people. And that collection has made me who I am, right? Not just trading wise, but life wise. So it went like, just a brief one, it went, me, I have to thank myself, because if I don't take action on anything else, then nothing happens anyway. Then it's like my mom for giving me the mindset, you know, sacrificing so much, etc. And then it's my dad, even though he passed away, teaching me the meaning of legacy. Then it's my wife for being supportive. And then it went like, you know, a close friend who I've known for 10 years for being, Thomas, right? For, you know, being there and being able to talk about vision. I mentioned that rapper I mentioned before we started, Low Key, for helping me shape my mind when I was younger. Then it was like even bad experiences, if you will. I don't think anything's really truly negative. I think you learn. Well, I said Astro, right? Because they were my first ever course. And plus they taught me what I don't want to be in this industry, right? Yeah. It's not shade. It's just saying like, I don't want to be like that. No problem, right? But I learned. That's something I learned, and
that's quite hard, actually. You know, when you have a negative experience, I think it's very hard for people to actually see the positive, because there's always a learning points in there.
100%.
That's a good point to bring up. To be fair, there always
is. There always is. And the funny thing is, it kept going, right? It kept going. Obviously, my mentor taught me SMC, got me consistent. Before teaching me SMC, he got me consistent, and then taught me SMC and got me consistent with that as well.
Oh, fair.
Right? So then anyway, the list kept going. Albert was one for showing me podcast studio. So we wouldn't be here if it wasn't thanks to Al, for example. And then there was you, right? And you were meant to be there. I said Mansa. I don't know if you know who Mansa is, but I said Mansa.
I searched him up after you told me.
Exactly, yeah. So he gave me like a key technical bit that really just helped me to excel my trading too, right? Get it just a lot clearer. Just one, he taught me his strategy, but it was just one piece I took from it, right? One nugget, but that's all that's necessary.
Yeah.
Right, just one nugget of information. I applied that, right? Similar to when I come to you as well. So yours was actually the gratitude thing, but then also the session, right? Because before that, I was doing both sessions, Frankfurt, London, and New York. I left it open. I wasn't purposely trying to trade both, but I was like, I could trade both if I can. And what I found was, after I spoke, we had that podcast and you mentioned only trading one session. I was like, wait, you can do that. I was like, even though I knew you could, I was like, why don't you do that, right? Because it makes complete sense, like you said. Like if you can trade, which you can effectively, and actually, if anything, you can. From what I've seen so far, Frankfurt and London, if you can get a scalp trade there, can very, very easily. Like I got a 1 to 100 last week.
Is it
from a scalp trade
from London?
Yeah, from Frankfurt, London. Yeah, and just by holding it, because again, very similar, like higher time frame potential.
Oh, I saw this one. Yeah, I saw this one. You're posting it. Yeah,
and loads of partials as always, right? So I actually ended up getting about 10% out of it, but bear in mind that I use 0.5% risk, and then I close partials starting at 1 to 5. So normally I close a full trade or 80% at 1 to 5, and that would be 2.5% or 2%, right? So that 1 to 100 equaled 10% by taking 50% at 1 to 5, then 50% here and here and here. But essentially, that I've excelled even more in my trading again by taking away. So like we were talking about earlier, less, right? And again, I wanted to thank you for that. And, in terms of that pieces of the puzzle, so if anyone who has watched that, your name should be on there too. Because, and again, look how interesting it is. We just had a conversation. But yeah, that has now essentially improved my life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I'm glad.
Right. And I'm able to manage my family time better, my teaching better, my routine just generally.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. Because now I just trade 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah. It's honestly best decision I've ever made. I think because I've been doing that for a long time, but I've not seen many people actually, well, to be fair, you're the one who's actively told me they've taken it on, but I've not seen many people actually try it. And I think it comes back to you sort of think that if you trade both sessions, you can make more money, but it's not the case. And I think my win rate, to be fair, I performed rubbish in New York anyway, purely because I think I was just too distracted, and I think I'm just generally more tired than.
Yeah. Do you think it's also because what it was for me was that because I would be trading from Frankfurt and London as well, I'd be following this narrative, watching. Does that make sense? So like you've already traded through Frankfurt and London or tried to and been watching. So then you're creating this narrative of like New York should do this or that, right? Rather than a fresh set of eyes. Does that make sense?
I know what you mean. Yeah, I know what you mean.
So that's what it was for me, like why it helped so much and why my performance, I took it's similar. Like my New York performance wasn't as good because I would be coming into it watching price, while going into Frankfurt, London, and waking up and it's fresh.
Yeah.
That's what it was for me, yeah.
Not only that, that early in the morning, you don't really get anyone bothering you as such.
Yeah.
The only bothering that I get is my wife running around when she's leaving, getting ready. And I can just hear her, even though she's in another room. I can just hear her like rustling about.
Yeah.
But apart from that, you don't get messages. Yeah. My Discord is muted anyway at that time. That's the only respected time I have. It's
for us, it's a key part of the day as well. So like, if Frankfurt and London for us was like in the middle of the day, it would be harder. Yeah. For the same reason that people are up, business hours, if you will. People might want to get hold of you, so then you don't want to have it on mute, for example, but it's so easy to do at that time of the day. Would you say though, when you first started doing that, you didn't always do Frankfurt and London only, right? Yeah. So when you first started doing that, was there a slight sort of friction or struggle that you had to sort of face of like accepting it?
No.
Or you kind of just were happy to?
Because, so that year, I think that was the year I spent majority of that year in hospital anyway, to be fair. Okay. You know what's funny though? I performed really well when I was in hospital. When I was admitted,
really?
I performed really well. I think it's because I didn't have people bothering. Because I would say like if I'm in hospital or something for a long time, I would message and I wouldn't really get I wouldn't get people bothering me as such. And
of course, yeah.
And I've got nothing else to do. I can only just focus on that thing.
Yeah.
I think because of that and because I had so much going on, I wasn't really fussed about. I didn't have that problem. But I'm a morning person anyway. You know what the weird thing was, which is it was one of the questions I got to talk about actually. I'll see what your take is. So yesterday I woke up at 7:30, and that's the latest I've ever woken up like in a long time.
Yeah.
So I always wake up at 6 every single day, and I think you know, I don't know if you have it, but you know when you just wake up and you just feel like you're not 100% there. Do you still try trade?
No, and the weird thing is that you said that. That was me yesterday. I woke up at 7:30. I swear to God, I swear I woke up at 7:30. I felt the same, and I
was
didn't
shocked.
trade. I mean, yesterday, to be fair, yesterday for the whole week was probably the best day to trade. Honestly, like, my setup presented itself yesterday perfectly at 7:30, but I just woken up, and I also felt the same way. It was like I just don't feel 100%. But yeah, I don't trade. I purposely don't. I have done in the past, and I've learned not to trade then in those times, because even when the setup might present itself, it's just the way I see it is, and describe it, is like when you feel off, whether it's just from being out of routine, just generally, it could be no reason for it, you just feel off. But if there are reasons for it, especially, you're kind of trading in a low probable situation, if that makes sense, like low probable sort of mindset or environment in comparison to when you feel fine and you're focused. That's a high probable sort of mindset and environment to trade from. So, like, for example, you had your business before. So if you had a stressful time in your business during, like, for 1 week, and it's going to be stressful, if I was your mentor or just someone, as a friend, I would say, don't trade, man, because even though you might be able to get a win, and yes, the trade might present itself, anything can happen because your mind's already heightened or distracted elsewhere.
Yeah. But we don't always acknowledge it, though.
Oh, we don't, yeah.
We don't always, and I think that's something I've noticed was sometimes I see like posts in the Discord where someone have taken the trade and they'll say, "Oh, I'm still at work. I've just taken this trade at a rush, or I'm just getting in the car." It doesn't make sense. Why? I understand. It's sort of a hard one because if you're working a 9 to 5, you still want to obviously make trading work, but you also need to be sensible with the way that you do it.
Yeah.
I mean, the only balance I had was just trading because I only traded Asia then. So I sacrificed part of my night to do that.
Yeah.
But I think there's not much appreciation to how you are actually feeling. Like even things like, as I said, things like just waking up. I was so shocked. I don't know why I woke up that late.
I know why.
I was so disappointed in myself. I don't know if it's because my wife wasn't there. I don't know.
Probably. Honestly, that's what happened to me all week. My wife went away this week.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. And then she went away this week, and then I was fine up until Friday. Friday that was yesterday. Yeah. So all week I'd done it, and then progressively though, as the week went on, I was going to sleep a little bit late, and then Friday I ended up waking up late. The thing is, I woke up and then I just closed my eyes, like I'll just rest for a minute. And then an hour later, waking up. But yeah, probably more than likely. Sometimes you're just kind of doing stuff, and then your body just wants an extra sleep. And just needs that extra time.
Makes sense. But I think things like outside stresses. I don't think we take enough time to actually acknowledge them. For example, I'll give you one scenario. So when I was selling the business, we had several meetings going back and forth with these guys, trying to negotiate like the best outcome for the business as well. And I know that was so stressful, but I didn't try and trade. I just observed. But sometimes when you observe, you're like,
he wants trying to drag you in, yeah.
And sometimes I just took the trade anyway, just for the sake of it. And I realized that afterwards I would notice the mistake. And these mistakes are not mistakes that I normally make.
Yeah.
But then you think back and you wonder, why did you make those mistakes? And these are good points for journals, because I think in your journals you should be noting down, how you are actually feeling. It's not just about the trades, not about the setups, it's not about whether you win or lose. It's about how you're actually feeling on that. Are you 100%?
Yeah.
Because sometimes we're not, but we're still trying to force it anyway, thinking that we need to make this work. Whereas you're better off waiting until you are 100%.
It's a tough one, because I agree with you. Yeah, I 100% agree with you. But I do also recognize there's like a balance. You know what I mean? And balance is hard as well. Like, people talk about there is no right or wrong answer, in my opinion. No, that's what I've started to realize a lot more when I'm sort of observing other people's conversations and also other people's viewpoints and everything, is that what works for you isn't necessarily going to work for that person.
No.
Because everyone's situation, mindset, perception, everything's different. I think really what it boils down to is what works for you. So similar to as you were saying there about 9 to 5, right? For someone who's working 9 to 5, it might be difficult to trade, right?
Yeah,
especially
it's
the
very
hours,
difficult.
right?
It is very difficult.
It is, but for some, they're in a position where they can trade during, they have access to their screen, especially after COVID, work from home and all that. While for others, completely impossible, right? And then it's a case where it's a different, you can probably get away with it. You can trade as normal, or do that with your 9 to 5, while this person has to make that sacrifice. Similar to what you're talking about, like, issues outside of trading or, accepting them. For some, it's the case where you need to accept and take a step back. While for others, I can imagine, I'm in that bracket with you, but for others, I can imagine actually the escape, the distraction of trading actually allows them to perform. Remove that that sort of negative aspect of the mindset right now, that distraction, if you will.
That's an interesting take,
right? And then they're able to focus on and take their mindset away from that negative and allows them to perform well. So it's really strange because I'm the same where I'm like you, like I said. But then I've started to really realize where, things that work for us as individuals, though it does work for us, and that means they do hold truth and they are powerful. And there will be other people where it works for them as well.
Yeah.
But there's a bazillion different ways of dealing with things and handling things and looking at things. And it's all down to perception. That's why there is no right or wrong. There's no, even with the balanced point of view, for example, I'm very big on balance myself, but to be honest with you, in terms of us achieving the success and trying to be a successful person, an entrepreneur and trader, there is an element where you're being a balanced entrepreneur, for example. What does that mean though? Because what it actually represents is that you're not balanced in a lot of areas of life because you're having to push, aggressively, in terms of work rate or your learning rate or, experience, etc. So you're actually having to be unbalanced in terms of those things to be a balanced entrepreneur, if that makes sense, right? So the term balance itself, like, it is a good lesson. It's a good way to be and a way to live, but it's not actually a fact in terms of you are exactly balanced in everything.
You're not going to be there. And I think you do need that slight element of stress, to be fair, I think, to perform. You can't be completely laid back. But yeah, perception is a massive thing. One of the questions that we had was in the Instagram post. What was it? There's something about being rich. Can you really get rich by trading? There was something like that along that lines. And I think I thought this one would be a good one to bring up because, and it ties into the point of perception. Because for me, when I was, so this is in my 3rd or 4th year trading, I had about 15K, about 15K in the account, and I was consistently withdrawing something, like whatever, like I felt like, basically. But for me, at that point, I felt like I made it. I was so content making that extra 2 or 3K, or even less, just, even anything like $1,000 on top of my salary, that was enough.
Yeah.
And I think your perception of money is what will define and answer that question for you, because 100%. It's not the same for everyone. Like I felt very comfortable with that, and I would happily carry on that for the rest of my life. Obviously, now I'm in a very good position, but I was happy with that for a very long time.
Yeah.
And that also helped me detach from, it's going to sound bad actually, but it helped me detach from having bigger goals. Like in terms of my main goal was to buy my house, pay off my parents' house, and have a car that's paid off. And then the rest is fine. The rest is a bonus. I don't think I really aspired to have anything like major, to be fair.
The Lambos and all this stuff.
No. Maybe, you know what? I don't know. I appreciate cars, but I don't appreciate them enough to,
$250,000.
I don't know if I said this in the last podcast or if I was just speaking to you in general, but when I spend on myself, it burns.
I think we did talk. I think
It really
I think we
hurts.
talked about it when we went for the meal after.
Ah,
I think.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same, man.
It really
I'm the
hurts.
same. Like, less so hurts. It's kind of like I don't get anything out of it.
No.
Like, you know, let's say I don't even have any examples because I haven't bought myself anything in years now. I bought myself like food maybe, but you know what I mean. Like I haven't bought myself anything big, you know.
No.
But I have bought family members things big, and then wife, and that gives me more fulfillment.
Yeah,
if anything, like, so yeah, like for me, it's very similar in that sense. But you know, kind of going back to what you were saying there, you know, I completely agree in terms of, you know, goals wise. But would you say, you know, it's kind of at that time that was more than enough? You know, that was contentment. You know, that was
way
like
more than enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But then as time goes on, as expenses grow, lifestyle increases, not massively, not saying like, you know, you tried to go from, I don't know, eating in Nando's to eating in, you know, Novikov, for example, or, you know, traveling on economy to now first class every single time and traveling loads, like huge leaps and bounds. But as it slowly increased, you know, the trading also increased with that. The account size also grew. But you did it in steps, because this is something I was talking about, or I think I made a video on recently, which was the numbers game. Like you have to respect the numbers game. I think the problem that people have nowadays in terms of prop firms, and then similar to revert back to the question of getting rich off trading, is that prop firms make it seem extremely easy to get rich extremely fast.
Really easy.
Right? Yeah. And it is true, right? In terms of
funded in less than 30 days.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Like I can see the YouTube videos already, the thumbnails and the clickbait titles.
Yeah.
But it is the thing is that two sides to the coin always, right? So it's true that you can way easier than when we started, right? When we started, it was personal accounts or finding an investor, right? Yeah. So the longer road, but the longer road is the right road, right? Because you actually progress step by step. You know, you go from the 1K account to the 10 or 5K to the 10 to the 30 to the 50 to the 100, right? Yeah. While nowadays everyone's going, okay, what's the max account they offer? 200K. Get 2 of those.
Go straight for that.
Right? Trade copy it. Oh, these are offering 500K. Yeah, let's go there. Oh, these are offering 300K. Never traded 10K before, right? Consistently.
Some have even traded 1K consistently.
That's very true, right? And I think that's where there's a huge, I say issue, but it's kind of natural, you know what I mean? It's kind of expected, you know, because at the end of the day, these are the same traders who, before prop firms, were probably just loading up continuously £100, £500, £1,000, £2,000, and just blowing it. Yeah. So now instead of doing that, they're just doing it in this way instead, with the hope that I'll get 6 figures. Yeah. And the weird thing is, and the worst thing is that when it does work out, and they do actually get a payout as well, make a quick 5, 10K, right? And that's amazing for them because, you know, fair play to you. But that 5 or 10K is going to end up back in the market in some form or way, right? Because it's the mindset. Yeah. Right. So kind of to answer the question, you can get rich off trading. You can. Yeah. But it's not quick. That's the problem. Like probably the bit that they've left out of the question more than likely.
How long will it take?
Yeah. And the truth is you can. I've seen it. I've done it. You've done it. You know, we've seen it. One reality is though, is that for a lot of us, and it wasn't really the case for me. There's a small element of it. Like trading only started working when I had the cash buffer and and I had an income as well. So it wasn't like I was just relied on the trading. Yeah. But I know a lot of traders where they were already successful somewhere else, right? They had gotten used to larger numbers in other, you know, in business a lot of the time, whether that's real estate or, you know, whether it's a conventional actual, you know, business similar to like you had a business. And I've actually seen those individuals were able to do it slightly faster, or people who had high paying jobs. So like lawyers or barristers, you know, these people who decided to transition to trading. Because again, they're not having to get used to larger numbers as much as the person coming out of university or out of college, you know, or just who's doing the 9 to 5, you know, making literally like minimum wage pretty much. Yeah. So they've already kind of gotten to be at this level rather than this level.
There's level, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And people who work at this level, right, already, whether it's business or jobs even, they understand the numbers game because they're there, right? Because they didn't start there. They had to do the 9 to 5 and then get to there, right? The same with the business. They had to have their business not making money to build the money, right? While the 9 to 5 person hasn't, and what they're seeing online, the viewpoint, and then what they think is the reality is I can go from here to here, right? That guy said, exactly, yeah. But the worst thing is the marketing guys, they they say 3 years ago I was homeless and now I've got these Lambos, right?
Yeah.
So now the average person's thinking, oh, if he can go from 0 to there like that, I can do the same from, like he was homeless. I've got a 9 to 5, I've got a job. So I should be able to do this faster, right? And it's just this misconception. And again, it kind of boils back to the main point, which is that is the average mind, you know? The average person in the 9 to 5, or who does the 9 to 5, who has the average sort of mindset, is always going to have those average thoughts. And when I say average, I mean the masses, right? The masses will want the get rich quick. That's why the masses normally do the lottery. That's why the masses normally try and bet on fights and do the gambling side, right? And they're very easily susceptible to gambling, which is probably why they're so susceptible to getting into trading or crypto or NFTs.
But have you noticed that more now? Because back then, I didn't come across that. I didn't have that many people trying to get rich quick. It was all about, you know, putting the effort in. But nowadays, it's like we want it right now.
I think the industry has grown, right? In terms of like, there were always probably traders who were trying and also failing.
Oh yeah.
But in terms of the growth over the last, since social media's rise, number one, and then as social media has grown and people's viewpoints have really been sort of warped in terms of success, because everyone only shows their wins, not their losses. So everyone's perception is really skewed. And I think, yes, you're right. Because when I started, I didn't even know any traders online. Right? I had to actually go searching. Yeah. And it was smaller, but as that community's grown and grown and more people have flooded in, the YouTube ads have increased.
Yeah, there was barely any when I started.
And it's just expansion, right? It's just the business of trading is so lucrative in all areas, every area, not just the teaching. The brokers is the massive, that's probably the biggest, most lucrative. Then the prop firms is off the back of brokers, because that's like a 2-in-1. You have that, you basically have the broker, but it's in a way where it's like so enticeful. While the broker, they just say, you put in £500, you get £500, you go trade that, right? We'll provide you the liquidity, the leverage, etc. The prop firm is saying, you pay us £500, we'll give you 100,000.
Yeah.
So now it's like on a whole nother level. And that's why you see all these guys who had courses now trying to start their own prop firms, because they realize the amount of money. Yeah. It's unfortunate. So that's why it grows, because innovation essentially is prop firms is innovation, right? It is amazing. There are positives, beautiful positives.
Massive positives. Yeah.
But the other side of the coin is where people don't see.
That's the way that is used.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah, it's 100%. But what do you think, like, in terms of, making that transition, those steps, from being consistent on a smaller account to then trading at a heavier, larger account? Was there any key points or improvements or changes you had to make in order to adjust to that? Or was it literally kind of similar to what we talked about earlier, the boring same steps?
So I think, my biggest deposit came from the physio business. Mm-hmm. So in terms of the numbers side, I didn't really have the scare. Like, I say that, when some of my stop losses would be, like 2K or just over. When I first experienced that was a bit like, ooh, I could have done a lot with that. Yeah. But then if you think about it in terms of percentages, it wasn't a lot at all. But I sort of already had that adjustment anyway, because of the physio business. But the thing is, if I didn't have physio, I wouldn't have been successful in trading, to be fair. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was doing well, but it changed massively when I put that fat deposit in, and then that's when I got funded from the broker. That was like a massive change all in one go, and it was a little bit overwhelming, but I wasn't scared of the numbers in that case. I think if I didn't have, for example, if I wasn't making what I was from the physio business, that would have been too early for me to get that. Because the way that the funding worked for that, you have to be consistent for 6 months and over for them to fund you. Yeah. Which is the best way that you can get funded, because
you've already seen the consistency.
Yeah. And the thing is, it was a natural transition. So it was like they monitor your account and then they'll offer you afterwards. You don't even know. Like, you apply for it, obviously, but you forget about it after a few weeks. Or you don't even know that you're being evaluated, to be fair. And they just assess how much to give you after your performance over the 6 months, and obviously they keep loading your account depending on how you keep going.
Progression. So funnily enough, because I didn't even know about this
Yeah.
until you just mentioned it. So what you're saying is you basically deposited with your broker as you would. When you probably deposited, they probably asked a particular question like, do you want to be available?
Yeah.
Do you want to be applicable to this this process or funding that we offer? You probably said yes.
Yeah.
And then you were trading as normal. And then
that's literally it.
It got to a point where they'd seen consistency, and the broker themselves reached out to you to say, you're consistent. We want to give you capital to trade. And do they just do it in the same way in terms of profit split?
It was an 80-20 split.
Did they have like a drawdown or anything?
Yes, it was 8% for me at the time. That was a max drawdown. There was no daily drawdown.
Okay.
Which, to be fair, is quite nice. It's quite nice.
To be fair, like as well, like for you to be consistent, I don't see why anyone would risk more than 5% in a day. You know what I mean?
No.
I don't see why. I'm sure there are strategies out there that might, but
yeah.
I don't see personally.
It's not a strategy. It's a trader.
Yeah,
it's a trader. Yeah, because you can keep trading as even because I risk 0.25%, and I can lose 10% in a day if I carry.
If you kept going, yeah.
So it's very, very easily done. But that I was ready to be funded because I was consistent anyway. I was just carried on as normal. But yeah, if I didn't make what I did from the physio business, I would have felt very overwhelmed, and it would have been too much for me to handle.
So it was like the numbers game,
yeah.
That slower but progressive. The beauty is, like, I think we've said this before, you probably heard it before at least, is trading isn't get rich quick, it's get rich slow. But if I was to add on to that, it's quicker than most. You know what I mean?
Quicker than most, yeah.
It's not going to be 10 years.
No.
Right? It might, hopefully not 10 years. But like, if you're doing the right steps, being aware of the right things, reflecting on the right things, doing the work, of course, and being disciplined, I don't see why someone can't. They can be a trader relatively quickly. I'll never put a time on it because it really depends on the person. But if you are focusing on all those things and the right things, you can do it in any time. I've met traders where they've done it in 6 months. They really have, from start to the end, or 9 months, right? In their first year, essentially. I've met traders who've done it.
I've seen that, to be
right?
fair.
A lot of the time when I've met those traders, though, they have a very strong, either they have a very strong why, right? They've come from extreme hardship, right? So therefore their drive and focus and discipline is built on hardship, adversity, right? And extreme levels, though, not just, I don't have enough. I'm making enough money, but I don't live in a mansion yet. That's not a struggle. You know what I mean? That might be a struggle for some, no doubt about it, but it's not adversity. I don't have enough food to feed my family. I don't have enough money to pay the bills. These levels, right? The other extreme to the people who I've seen do that are the ones I mentioned, the ones who are used to, who are playing at a higher level in life already. So they've gone through the steps and now they just apply their knowledge and experience in life to this new venture, trading.
Yeah.
And they're able to then understand, okay, I just need to be dedicated. I need to be patient. I need to do these steps. Learn. Discipline. And then that's why they're able to do it faster than the person who hasn't got
conditioned.
That. Yeah.
Conditioned.
Exactly. They built their endurance and their pain levels. But in terms of this broker, so is it just a normal broker or is it
Axie?
Axie.
Yeah.
Nice.
So they have a program called Axie Selects. That's what you have to sign up to, basically, to do it.
I think you probably dropped a bomb on people today. I've never heard of it. Honestly,
have you not?
I've never heard of it.
No. I've mentioned it a few times. I think you know why it's not popular is because you have to do it over a long time.
Very true. Exactly. It kind of is a great example of the mindset. Yeah.
But speaking about the numbers game, I think a good point to mention is that your success isn't measured by how much money you've actually made, because like you can be consistent on a small account, for example, but because the money isn't sufficient for someone, they may feel like they haven't been successful.
Yes.
Just because someone has a bigger account doesn't mean they're necessarily better. It just means that they've been fortunate to have a bigger account. Granted, it's easier to make money with a bigger account, as in it's easier to make a bigger amount of money, obviously, with a bigger account. But I think if you're on a small account, don't discount yourself from, don't discount yourself from saying that you aren't successful because you aren't making X amount, a month or whatever, however you want to measure it. I think that's the biggest limitation, and that's why funding firms is where everyone's going, because obviously you want that big capital and thinking that, you're going to make this amount in a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
It's just not the case. If you can't handle a small account, you won't be able to manage a big account.
That's it. It's
you're
classic.
You're not conditioned for it in any way.
That's it.
You know what was interesting? When you speak about Mansa, because his Telegram channel,
Savage.
he's because he spoke about this and is very raw with the way that he speaks about it.
So this is why I love him. I love his mindset, because, like you say, it's just raw. It's just like to the point. It's not sugarcoating. It's not trying to cover both sides. I'm kind of guilty of trying to cover both angles. Both sides of the coin, trying to show both sides. But he is more, this is it. And I think that's why a lot of people resonate with him, like myself, and probably yourself as well. Like, because it's especially us as people who have experienced a lot of these things. Yeah, we recognize it. We're like, yeah, that's it.
Yeah. No, it's very interesting, to be fair.
I'm trying to get him on.
I was gonna say,
we were talking the other day.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I've been trying to push him for a long time.
Yeah,
but I respect his choice of in terms of like not wanting to put his face out there. That because there is in this day and age, one, it's not necessary. You don't have to, right? You can provide the value like he is doing without having to do that.
Yeah.
And two, privacy. You want your personal privacy. You want especially in this day and age where anything can be. I'll lead on to this story in a second, but. It's so easy to find out stuff about people. And if you like your privacy, you don't want to be out there on socials, for example. But he sent me a picture where, can you do this? Where it's like a blurred face. I said, yeah, I'm sure my editor, I'm sure Josh could blur it out, bro. We could sort that out. What I said was, because I can imagine a lot more people might want to watch this on Spotify and Apple Music, or listen, we could film an episode where it's just me, but you can hear him.
Yeah.
Right? Because most people aren't going to be watching
You can do it as
right, but he was like, "No, probably the blurring one would be better." I said, "Yeah, we can do it." So I'm sure we'll lock it down.
Yeah, you can do it like because when Ben was in Vertex, he used to do podcasts, and we have James. Now James is exactly the same as Mansa, where he doesn't show his face. Only the people who joined the boot camp they see him. It's like a present. But we recorded a podcast with him. And it was literally, how can I describe it? It was like the three of our pictures and it's just flashing who's talking.
Okay,
It did all right, to be fair, and it still kept that element of security. Which
we're going to work it out. We are. We're going to find a way of doing it. I said we could do it like the witness protection, where we have a shadow over his shoulder.
Yeah, just a silhouette of him.
Yeah. So we can do that way, and we can distort your voice so it's deeper or higher.
Well, we know what he sounds like, to be fair.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
We know what it sounds like. That would work.
We'll make it happen though, because I want him to be on the round table as well. When that comes around, because it's a no-brainer. You gotta have a mind like that.
It'll be us sitting around in a shadow.
He likes it. I bet he probably enjoys this. That like working it out and stuff. But it's great. But what I was gonna say in terms of privacy is the other day, for the first time in probably 10 years plus, I got prank called. Yeah, I was like, this number called me on private. I don't really answer private, especially nowadays. I don't see the point. Either. So I just blocked it. I just cancelled it. Tried to call me again, cancelled it again. I was on a call. The funny thing is, I was on a one-to-one call. And then they called off a number. So I thought, it might be someone I know then, because they probably realised I'm calling on private. So I answered it. And it's just some kid. Yeah, and I'm thinking, they probably got my number off the website or something like that. I don't mind. But it's just some kid, and they were trying to prank call, And I was just like, I haven't been prank called in 10 years, I'm not a kid anymore, right? Normally that people, kids call other kids in their school and they try and prank call them or something like that. But I was like, whatever. Anyway, I basically just hung it up because I knew straight away. I didn't even say anything. No. I heard it was a kid. I could tell that they were trying to prank call, just hung it up. They called again. This time I answered. I said, I just said like, what do you want? They're trying to be like, what is it? Who are you talking to and stuff like this? And I was like, look, I know you're a child. I know this is fun for you. But I'm not a child, right? So I don't have time. That was it, literally. I just don't have time. I know you're trying to prank call. It's fine. Yeah, I just don't have time for it. Hung it up. Called again, right? This time I'm getting a bit annoyed because I'm like, that's fine. You've done it twice. That's fine, yeah? I said it's fine. I know you're prank calling. Just move on to someone else who's your age, who will then laugh and joke with you, or at least it's funny, yeah? I started going crazy. I was just like, not crazy, but I was just like, look, you guys obviously don't make money because you got time on a Friday afternoon to be calling people, because obviously you must be broke, right? You must have that mindset, right? Because you got time to do this. I ain't got time for this, I got time to make, I'm focused, I'm driven, I'm working, right? So don't waste my time. And then some girl came on the phone and was like, who you think you're talking to, and your mom and all this stuff. And I was like, look, I
didn't think
your child
do this,
Kids do. This is the thing. This is what I said to them. This is why they were getting annoyed, I think, because I was like, your child. And the thing is that when you're 17 or 18, for example, or 16, you don't think you're a kid.
No.
But you are a kid, right? Because I didn't think I was a kid, but I was a kid, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when I was saying it to them, they're getting annoyed. Anyway, I hung it up, and then they didn't call back. So I was like, cool. And then someone called me at 1 a.m. that same night.
Oh.
And I think it was the girl from earlier. She tried to prank call. I hung it up straight away. I was like, it was 1 a.m. Plus I was asleep. I just woke up because of it. I was fine. I texted, who's this? Because it was a different number.
Yeah.
And then they said, I'll try and wrap this story up because it's really not important. But essentially, it's really not important. They were like, miss you. And I was like, I don't know who you are. All right. They're like, yeah, you do. I was like, listen, watch what happens now, right? In terms of not a threat. But I was like, look, I'm going to scare them, yeah? So all I did was took their number. And this is what I was trying to get to in terms of privacy. Took the number and I searched it in all the social medias. Came up, right? Came up on Snapchat and TikTok, right? So found the Snapchat, which then I was able to verify the TikTok because of the face, yeah? TikTok now got their name, right? Now I found the Instagram, yeah, because of the name.
Yeah.
Now on Instagram, now I know that how old this person is on average. So roughly between 16 and 18. Now I know which city they're from, Bradford, right? Now I know that they're in some form of college. Now, if I wanted to, I could have found out the college. Now, therefore, I know exactly where they are Monday to Friday. Yeah?
Yeah.
So I sent them all this. I sent them their name first, right? I sent them the name first, and they were like, how the fuck do you know my name? Right? And I was like, listen, it's all fun and games, yeah? You're a child, okay? So I let it off. Like, you're a kid. You're young, yeah? I'm not young. You're young. So I let you off for doing this in the first place, right? But what I'm trying to teach you here is be careful doing this. It's all good and all well and good doing it to other school friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what kids do. But be careful doing this because there's fucking weirdos out here, right? There's fucking weird men out here, predators and just people messed up in the head. Where all it took me was 30 minutes, where I wasn't even trying hard, but 30 minutes to find out essentially where you are Monday to Friday during working hours, right? And if I was a fucking weirdo, I'd just come and turn up. You know what I'm saying? I was trying to give an educational lesson to this random person. I was like, look, listen, just be careful. That's all I'm saying. I could easily be annoyed, and I'm going to block your number at the end of this because, I don't need to know you. But I just tried to understand, like, privacy-wise. If you're out there, like me, for example, I'm sure someone could find out information about me. Yeah. I don't mind as much, but when you're a child, right? Yeah. Don't do that. Don't put your info out there. Especially don't call people, try prank calling people with your number showing. Yeah. That's what I said as well. Like, why is your number showing? I thought it was on block. Well, obviously you didn't. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's why I respect my answer. And people who want to be private. So like with my daughter, I don't post her. I don't post my daughter, right? Because one, she's a kid, so she doesn't need to be posted. Two, we don't know who's out there, right? No. We don't know anyone who's out there. There's the whole world out there. We don't know what their mindsets are like. And especially nowadays, people are messed up,
Oh, yeah.
So that was a weird one, like I said, I know that story ended up being a bit longer, but as a lot of the audience are younger. So I always say that just be careful, have your privacy because, anything can happen. People are weird, people's mindsets are very strange and you want to protect yourself and your family,
Yeah.
So, be very mindful. I might put myself out there, but I purposely don't put my wife out there, my daughter out there because they don't need to be. For me, it's a different. Even then, I don't put like my personal details out there. Like, I have a work number. Bang, I have that. I don't care, But I don't have my personal number. I have my personal email. I have, my address ain't out there. You know what I mean? If it was, I would move. You know what I mean? Yeah, because again, it's the same thing. Like, I don't live. I'm not part of the mafia. I'm not part of these sort of things. But you don't know other people's intentions.
Because
this can kind of lead to you, for example. But you get a lot of random weird hate, not hate, but like I won't even call it hate, sorry, but it's like you get this weird random proper personal.
Mine's dark, dude.
Exactly, that's what I mean. Like, you got these dark people out, whoever it is out there. I'm telling you, if I knew who it was, bro, I'll do my number search and I'll find them because that's some weird shit
back I had. I never said and it's I've had this before. where someone they messaged me saying that I'm using my cancer to market, and they said that I'm using it to pay for my cancer treatments. Though, yeah, my messages are like dark, to be fair.
It's fucking wild though. Do you have any inclination at all of who it could be?
No, I have not. It's gone. I don't know. It has to be kids, to be fair.
How long has it been? And the funny thing is, I don't think it would be kids for that.
You think?
I feel like it was someone you know. It has to be, because it feels personal. It feels like a vendetta. You understand? Because kids won't do that. Kids don't. Even kids understand about joking with that sort of stuff.
You think?
Or pranking with that sort of
I don't
stuff,
know.
because it's regular. You know, like a prank. Like I said, like that was after 10 years I got a prank call.
Yeah.
And it was probably, I asked them where you got your number from. Either they got it off my website, but the truth is I don't think they did, because this girl said, I just changed the number at the end of my friend's phone number.
Oh.
And I think that makes sense, because none of them
yeah.
followed me. None of them knew who I was. They ended up following me after. Right?
Oh.
But so that's why I believe them, right?
Yeah.
But with yours it's different.
Yeah.
Because it's regular, number one.
It's always fake. There's always a fake account.
Exactly, yeah.
Followers,
And it's always the same similar words being used, so it's the same person.
Well, a few months ago, I was randomly added to this Telegram group. This is when I got rid of Telegram. Like you can't message me on Telegram at all now. I was added to this random Telegram group, and they're just going at it. There's like 20 odd people in there. They're just going at it, and they were definitely kids. Because it was the maturity in that group was, it was very low. So, but yeah, I never understood that. It happened a few times even in the Discord, where people would complain, like if I'm like away for like surgery, for example, people used to complain when I'm away. It's much better now. Like no one does that. There's a massive respect now. I got rid of anyone who like disrespects in that case. But yeah, it went to the point where I'd never mentioned, and most of the time people don't know if I'm in hospital, because I'm in hospital a lot of the time. I don't mention it unless my signal is affected, because then there's a delay in responses, or if I'm having surgery, I let people know in advance.
Yeah, just courtesy, isn't it?
So,
but like,
it's a weird one.
Well, you didn't. You know why? I can tell you didn't, because I didn't know about it. I knew there was an inclination because you did a Q&A and someone asked you about it.
Yeah.
But I didn't know. Even then, I didn't know if you actually had it or not. Or you're talking about something else or anything. And that's why I asked you when we were talking before the last podcast, right?
It's weird to think like that, though. I don't understand.
Well, the thing is, there are probably people out there who would use it to market something. Maybe, right? There might be people out there, like the X Factor type people, where they tell the sob story to elevate themselves. In terms of cancer, there are people probably out there who would. I would personally find it very rare for those people out there.
Weird, isn't it?
100% weird, man. But something that can be helpful, because a lot of people, in terms of like what me and you do and other mentors, it could be helpful. But generally for people, so like handling haters, handling this sort of energy, but generally for everyday people, have you ever handled sort of the opinion of others? Right, and the negative opinion of others, and overthinking what people might think of you, right? Have you dealt with that? How have you handled that, navigated that?
It's a good question, to be fair.
I'm getting there.
I don't think I've had opinions online from people I don't know. They don't affect me. Apart from once from one of my YouTube channels, I had like an influx of ICT students.
Is that recent or?
No. This is back. This is way back.
They're something else. They are.
They're like a cult. They really are. They all like sending like threats saying ICT is gonna get me and shit like that. It never made sense. That got to me though, because I think of the numbers. But it went to the point where it was just getting.
It was a lot of people.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was because he mentioned us on his community page, because I did a video called "Order Blocks Made Easy" or something like that. I think it was. And he paraphrased it on his channel, and then we had an influx of messages from that. And this is when I sort of regret showing my face, because
that privacy.
Because even though, like, for example, Ben at the time was also doing YouTube videos for Vertex, I was the face of Vertex at the time. Even though there was 3 of us or 4 of us at that time, and now it's just me and James. But I'm still like the only person that you see as Vertex, isn't it? That's being said, James has a massive role in Vertex, by the way.
No, but it's like if your face is out there, people then will associate your face to it. That's just, I'm sure he understands that.
Yeah.
It's like me with Viper a lot more, because my face is out there a lot more. People won't necessarily put Cal's face to it.
I didn't know about him, to be fair, until I looked into it.
But he's like, he covers more the crypto. So in the crypto side of things, he's the face of Viper in terms of crypto. Does that make sense? So like, if people were gonna come across Viper in the crypto space, it'll be his face, not mine. So it kind of works both ways. But if there's no face at all, then it's just natural that people might not associate or know, just due to social media. But as soon as they're in, they will know.
Yeah. But when those threats came, I was like, this is a bit weird, because you can find addresses, but thankfully the address that you find, like with my name,
a business address.
I don't live there. It's just a house I own.
Yeah.
I don't live.
Your tenants are going to get abused.
Yeah, you just can't find it. Yeah, at that point I was a little bit worried, but then the general day-to-day like things that you get on Instagram, like DMs and things like that, I think most of them are like, can you show proof or something like that. And then when you send back, like there was one I had this week, no, was it this week? No, last week even. They asked me, can you show like the screenshot of the trade, and they were like, I bet you didn't take it and things like that. I sent a screenshot. They didn't speak to me after that again.
Yeah, do you know, it's like...
Do you get that? Because your following seems pretty good, to be fair. As in, you don't really...
My following is very interesting. Like, my following is decent. Like, it's growing, and I spent a lot of time trying to grow it and get it to where it is, but I'm not really bothered about the numbers.
No.
There was a time where I was like, especially when I was younger, where I wanted to become an influencer.
Yeah.
Not for the purpose of being having the title. It was more so the impact. I love just trying to help people. So that's I reflect numbers as my reach. You know what I mean?
Fair.
If I had 100K followers, I would feel good about myself because I know my content is trying to help 100,000 people.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Not because of the actual number. Same with like the podcast. Same with anything. Like, it's all about just, I can feel better about myself knowing that, hey, this video here that I put time and effort into is going out to this many people. So that means the reach and impact it can have, which then obviously,
it's a nice feeling.
Yeah. And then if those people then help and so on and so on, the number grows massively in comparison to say 10 people. It still feels good. I still feel amazing if one person even just gets help.
Yeah.
But obviously the more it is, the better it feels, and the more impact you can have and the legacy grows, etc. But I've had it massively, bro. When I had that I used to work at Astro. Right?
Yeah.
So when the fallout of Astro happened, when I left, bro, I had someone calling me like, I'm gonna come to your house, because they know my address, obviously, right? So I had these stresses, right? I had these stresses, and it was a little bit of a stressful period because you don't want someone, especially when you have a wife and daughter. If I lived alone, it'd be very different, because I have a wife and daughter who live at my house, right? And they knew my address, and they tried calling me. I have the recording somewhere, but they called me saying like, you live here, do you want me to come, right? And I'll be like, I was a bit stressed at the time, but really, I've learned that I recognize the voice on the other side of the phone. So I was like, why are you calling me? Like, I know who you are, and if I want to do the same searches back, I'll find where you live.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not about like, trying to be in that, that mindset, or trying to be hard or anything like that. But it's just like, look, we can all play at this game, but why are we doing this, right? You're threatening to come to my house because you guys are doing this, and you're not happy about that it's been let out of the bag, right? You're not happy about that, and that's why you're annoyed, right?
Yeah.
So really, who's in the right or wrong here? That's how I judge things, right? If I had done you dirty, actually stabbed you in the back, right, then cool, come to my house. But the fact is, you're stabbing a million other people in the back, and now people see it, and you're annoyed that it's impacted your pocket.
That's the truth is projection, though. It's projection of their.
Well, the thing is, I learned from someone else who is in those realms, right? I won't mention names, but who is in those realms of streeter life, or like, has been in these uncomfortable positions and situations. And he goes to me, his advice to me is, when people do that, tell them, come. Say, come, I'll put the kettle on. That's what he told me. And I was like, okay. And I learned about how to handle those situations a lot better, even when you have a wife and kid, because you test the person. If they do to come, you have the people. Do you have the people, or you personally? So for me, for example, I don't want that situation to happen.
No.
Right? And this is how I handle haters and this sort of mindset. Is I don't want these things to happen. But I will face it head on in terms of I'm not going to get scared. I'm not going to shy away. Right?
Yeah.
Because you can't show fear. You can't show weakness.
No.
It's not allowed.
No.
Right? Because then that's what they'll play on. They win then. Instantly they win. If you show your hand as fear and weakness. Even if you are feeling scared and weak, right? And scared and fearful. Even if you feel that way, you can't show it. Right? It's because then they win. Right? You've given them the empowerment and you've given them satisfaction, most importantly. Right? And same with haters, just general haters. Can't let it get to you. Right? You can't let it. Right? And even these people who, and I don't get it that often. But from time to time, I've got it like, can you prove this or show this? And I don't care. Like the people who do it always goes to counts 9 times out of 10, 9.9 times out of 10. It's a ghost random account. And secondly, it's always 100% almost people who aren't even trying to help other people anyway.
No.
Right? They're not people who are trying to, even if it's free, even if it's, giving advice, then people who aren't trying to help others.
Yeah.
So they're not even in a position to ask.
No.
Right?
No.
I understand if you're a marketer, right?
Yeah.
If you're someone who is saying, come join me because I do this and I do that and I make millions. If you're doing that, then you kind of have to prove because you're saying that. You're saying I make millions upon millions.
You need to back it.
Yeah, you have to be able to back it then, right? But if you're someone who literally sits there, never promotes, never says, come join me, right?
Yeah.
Never says, I'm going to make you a millionaire, but instead is just literally doing this, where we talk, try and give value, try and do things for free.
Yeah.
If you're someone like that, you have no reason to prove anything.
No.
If you're someone on the other hand who's saying, I'm the algorithm, I've worked out the algorithm.
Yeah.
If you're the cult man, if you're one of them types of individuals, or you're calling out others, then you do need to prove something. Or essentially that you're putting yourself in the position to have to prove it.
But that's what I don't understand. And I'm not speaking about this guy like specifically, but for someone who's like claiming, if you're claiming to make like millions and whatever you're making, right? There's got a lot of time on social media. Like, I mean, I'm not in that position, but I don't think well, it's not that I don't have the time, I suppose. I can't be bothered most of the time. But how are you on there all the time?
At the age as well.
At that age.
Yeah. The thing is, like, with him is like, I respect him in terms of like, from the feedback I hear, like
massively.
he's helped a lot of people. And apparently, I don't know if there's truth or not, because I don't know. Obviously, I learned SMC from Rit, right?
Yeah.
I learned SMC from him. But apparently, he's the father of SMC, smart money concepts. Apparently.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's true or not, right?
Neither do I.
And I'm not bothered either way, because it makes no difference. Because I don't use the concepts that he uses in the way that he's taught. Not to say there might be an off branch. Not to say that someone actually learned from him and then changed it, and then that person taught so and so, and then
it's like a
finally got
branch,
to
isn't
me,
it? It's the way that it's the way that it's come across.
That's it. And for me, the main focus is regardless of the hate, is like, are you as an individual helping other people? Are people learning from you and excelling, getting better?
Yeah.
Right. Even if they didn't get to where they wanted to go, were they able to get improvement and growth from you to then lead them to the next person?
Yeah.
That's all that matters. Because you're not promising, like, if someone comes and joins Vertex, I bet you're not sitting there saying you are guaranteed, to make loads of money and get funded, etc. But what you are saying is, we can help you, right? We will try to help you. Yeah. We will put in effort to help you, right? And you probably got it set up in a way where if it doesn't, if someone doesn't resonate with you, they could just move on to the next person.
Yeah.
That's it. And that's how I handle haters, for example. Where it's like, I know that I'm doing my best. I'm probably more than my best, and I probably sacrifice too much to trying to help others. And therefore, that's why, one of my lessons for later or to transition is to tone that back, because I shouldn't put in so much effort and time into helping others. So that's why the haters never get to me. Even when I had recently someone tried to call me out, or someone tried to claim that I'm a scammer, right? And this was coming from someone else who had his own community. So already the intention's off, right? And already the intention's completely soured already because they have their own, right? And recently started their own, right? And that's why it doesn't bother me. I'll face it head on, like I said. I won't ignore it. No. I'm not that type, right? I have to just say my piece and that's it. But it doesn't get to me because I know what I'm doing. Yeah. I know my intention.
You're better than me then, to be fair. If I didn't have James like my...
your grounder.
Yeah, no, he's like he's like solid and keeps me in check, because I get upset by certain things like quite easily, innit? Whereas if he wasn't around, I would have like fallen back into that, because Chloe's quite good at managing it, but because she doesn't understand it from like the trading aspect, she can't really support,
advise, and
But James is like, and even like when these Telegram groups were like adding me and like chatting shit, James used to join and he start like just calling everyone out.
Yeah,
he literally doesn't care. He was like,
Cal's kind of like that, to be fair. Cal's like,
he supports his own.
He'll go to 100%. Like he's ready for it though. He doesn't love it, not at all, but he will not hesitate. So funnily enough, when that stuff was happening and someone was calling me saying, they tried calling him at the same time, because me and him were obviously starting Viper. So when they called him,
Astro, was he?
He wasn't Astro. No, he wasn't. But when they called him, it was just because we were joining together. That was all. When they called him though, he was like, "Listen, I heard you're trying to go to people's houses." Like he was switching it up. And he's also not like that. Like he doesn't look for trouble. He's very quiet life. Just likes to get on with his own thing. But if it needs to, we'll turn it up, right?
You need that.
Yeah, like 'cause you have to back yourself. And you have to protect your family, your wife, your partner, your ground. You know, because if you don't, people will walk over you. You know. So it's not a case, because I feel like sometimes it might come across as that you think you're a hard man. You know, and the thing is, like, in my opinion, like I was actually thinking of a scenario. I have this problem where I think make up scenarios in my head, right? I make up conversations. I make up, like when I was younger, I was bad for it, right? So kind of going on to an off topic slightly, but I was going to ask you about, you know, the traumas and stuff that we've experienced in life. But I think because of the trauma with the situation with my father and how he passed, by the time this comes out, people will know. But essentially, my father was murdered by his brother-in-law, right? And because of that scenario, though, when I was growing up, I'd always sit, if I was sitting in the room like this, it doesn't happen now. I don't know why. It kind of just stopped. But I used to sit in school, right? If there was a school disco, just anywhere, shisha, whatever, I would always just imagine attackers coming in and how I would handle it. I would envision it constantly. Like if it was still happening to this day, me and you would be sat here and I'd be thinking about someone barging through that door and me having to defend myself, and how, you know, jumping out that window there. You know, in college it would happen a lot. One of my classes was in the second story, and I'd always imagine people coming through this door with guns or whatever, and I'd have to defend myself or jump out that window. Would I survive it? How would it, you know? And it would be like a movie, you know, jumping out and then landing and then getting up and, you know, crawling away. The way I see it is, look, if let's say someone said to me, if you turned to me and said, "Riz, do you think you could beat me up, or you're better than me?" I would say, but I'd say it in a balanced way because we're friends. But generally, I would just say to people, you have to think you're better, right? You have to think that you would win, because that's the mindset you need to be able to even win, right? To have a chance, right? Doesn't mean you're actually better than that person. Doesn't mean you, ego-wise, you think you're better than this person or that person's beneath you, anything like that. Yeah. There are people out there who do think that way, 100%, right? Yeah. But it's just the correct mindset to have. Confidence, self-belief, you know? Because the only way you have a chance of actually winning is by having that thought. I don't go around saying, "Hey, you know, Tanz, I think I'm better than you, mate. You know, I think I'll knock you out." No, that's not the right mentality. But if you're going to ask me, I'm going to tell you the right answer. Now, it might come across as arrogant, but it's not the case. It's just having the right mindset. Oh, yeah. Right? Yeah. Like I said, in that side of things, you know, I don't know, though. Like, I could sit here and go, you know, if you said, I might think I'm better at business than you, right? Yeah. I wouldn't say so, because I feel like you've done more success in business, in that side of things. But if I didn't know about you, I might sit there just on face value think, I know better than in business, right? Yeah. But that's just my lack of interaction with you, my lack of understanding of your history, right? Yeah. But it's okay for me to feel that way just because I'm backing myself. Yeah. But if I start treating you differently because I'm backing myself, or I allow my mindset to go into the ego realm, that's where it gets dangerous. You know, it's kind of similar to that whole balance thing. Yeah. Right? Where you do need to feel them backing yourself, right? Yeah. And that you're the best, but you need to be able to rein it in and understand that that's not the case. You're not actually better than any human being. No. But you do back yourself. You believe in yourself, you know? And I feel like a lot of people, unfortunately, they don't back themselves. You know, they don't allow themselves to feel that way, because sometimes it might be because they're manipulated into thinking that that's arrogant, that's not right. You're not allowed to do that. Yeah. Right? But in another way, it's literally because they don't have the self-belief. They haven't been, you know, either built or been taught that mindset. I was taught it, luckily. Not
It's
that bit.
interesting.
I was taught about having, believing in yourself and stuff. But yeah, our good friend Riz is here. Outside.
I thought he's not here, is he? Outside.
No, he's out the front.
Oh, I see. No, you know what? Speaking about like having that confidence and you have to have like a certain level of is that arrogance? Arrogance, yeah. Because when I was pushing the physio business, pushing all the contracts and how the clinics are run, I had this issue of letting go, whereas like because I used to try and like control everything. Chloe used to call me what she used to call me? She used to tell me to like sort my ego out because I wanted a set value for how the business, and I wanted everyone to see the same.
Oh yeah.
And I wasn't appreciating, obviously everyone's different, I understand.
Exactly.
But I wanted everyone to have the exact same vision. Because the thing with physio is that it's not a scam, but what you can do is, for example, if you're seeing a patient, if they don't need physio, my moral was that you don't book a next session, or you tell them. But it's very easy to say, oh, let's book another session in because you will benefit from it, for example. It was very hard, and I wanted to portray that. But my problem was I was trying to control everything.
Yeah.
And then my biggest change, and this is the biggest development in the business itself, was I let everything go. I had people put in for certain parts of the business that I don't have any expertise in, but I learned so much from working. So I went from different pits of the business so I can understand and learn these parts. But I think you do need to have that confidence to get there.
Yeah.
But you also need to know when to let go and listen.
It's necessary in business though, because if you're the owner of the business, the leader, if you don't have the level of self-belief, confidence, and an element of arrogance, what you could call arrogance, when really it's just your vision, you believe in yourself, and you're backing yourself, right? And you're making that vision a reality. It's as the leader, you have to be able to lead.
I would have left if I was working for myself. The way I was, I honestly would have left.
Would you say it's a different personality to your normal everyday self?
Yeah. I was a complete different person. That's the main reason why I didn't want Chloe involved initially.
In case of the
because it's different. Because then you come home with it. I say it, but yeah, you come home with whatever you spoke about in the day, and you can't exactly. It's very hard to let go. It's fine now. It's fine. Like I'm completely laid back now, but
I've seen it, bro. I've seen it in Viper even.
Yeah,
I've seen it in Viper business as well. Like where you have this element of how you want things done.
Yeah.
How it comes to a point, one aspect where it's like you have your how to say it, like, what is the word? There's a word for it. It's slipping my mind right now. But you have your almost expectation or your level of how you expect things to be done.
Yeah.
And sometimes you feel like people aren't matching that. But sometimes, as you said, it takes others to be able to open your eyes to that. That's a bit unrealistic.
Yeah.
Perfection is a bit unrealistic. Greatness isn't, right?
No.
Success isn't. But perfection sometimes is a bit just unrealistic, of how you want it perfect.
Yeah.
You can get it close and a smooth operation.
You won't be perfect.
Exactly. Yeah. But sometimes it takes other people to help us see that. But also, as you say, it also takes other people who have the expertise in other areas that you don't. So you don't even see things. You don't even know how things will work, but they do. So it takes that, a great leader also knows how to listen and and that's something I've had to learn as well. And that's something that, as traders generally, because a lot of traders, they're trying to trade to obviously do other businesses. And that's something that they can learn as well. And a lot of the time it is through experience. Like you can hear it from others. I'm sure we've heard it before.
Yeah.
But a lot of the time it is being aware of it, can help. So now hearing it, it can help. But it is experience, on the job, when you're doing it, when you are that leader, when you're in that position. Because a lot of people never, a lot of people are trying to trade when they're trying to avoid a job. A lot of these, especially these younger guys, who are in uni, or a lot of them have dropped out of uni, college, etc. Or they're just working normal jobs. They haven't been in a position to lead anything.
No.
They haven't led in workspace, in uni. They don't even put themselves into positions to do a lecture, to do a speech, to try and grow. So it'll be a new experience for a lot of people, no doubt.
Oh yeah, massively.
Because even when you do that, when you are the head of the table, right? I bet there's still fear there. You know, there's still unknown territory, which is a bit like, oof, even though you have this, we talked about that sort of ego or that, that believe in yourself. Even then, there's still uncharted territory that you're a bit like, ooh, this is a bit fearful. This is it's exciting, but there's a little element of like, oh damn, one's if I fail,
massively.
One's if I don't do as well. But I think we could keep talking. I feel like
I know. Dude,
I hope I've done better this time. I hope I've done better.
I think so. I don't know.
We'll leave it to that guy.
Find out afterwards.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I respect about your audience is that they are very vocal in terms of like what they're happy with and not, and it's a very good thing, because that was one thing I was going to talk about earlier or mention, was that my audience, though good and has grown, they're not very interactive.
Oh, I see.
Right?
Yeah.
If I stimulate the interaction, then they are a bit more, but I kind of have to stimulate it. While with a lot of other people I see that people are proper jumping on them to interact and give them feedback. While mine is more like I kind of have to beg for it almost, like, please let me know.
Yeah.
Please just comment to tell us if this is good or bad. You know what I mean?
I've always maintained because I don't like people. I don't like having yes people around me.
Yeah, I don't.
It's always like you either tell me to the point. My teaching style is that I would tell you exactly as it is.
Mm-hmm.
I've upset people in the past, but then they obviously get used to it. I'm very direct with my approach.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you come across as rude, but I'm just trying to fit the I'm trying to help them basically.
Yeah,
I think that's how the community and everyone around it has sort of gone. They would say if they're unhappy with something.
yeah. Well, I think it's necessary though. I think it's necessary
you need
because in terms of actual mentorship and being a leader, people really aren't paying. Some people just aren't ready for that though. Some people, they don't want the realism.
I had loads of complaints with the
Yeah.
But with messages, it's read differently though. You read it and
that's true as well.
Different tone.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not saying it like that. And even when I talk, I'm very monotone anyway.
Yeah.
But when you read a message, it's just like straight to the point. There's no like. I've been starting to add like emojis in
to try and just reflect it a bit. Yeah.
Because I'm like, I joke around a lot in the group, but then if you're asking me a question, I go serious.
Of course, because it's necessary.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like, that's what essentially the way I see it is. That's what people are paying for, though. They want just this is what needs to be done. This is what you ask me a question. This is what I think. 100%, not like I'm leaving it open or letting you just interpret it. This is what I think. That's it.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good thing, man. But I think we're going to wrap up. Someone said to me, they said in a podcast, it's the guest who has the last word or something. So I don't know.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I don't know. That's what they said. I understand with like other podcasts, maybe.
Could have told me out before. I'd have prepared something.
Yeah. What do you want to?
What should we end with?
I don't know.
There wasn't a specific topic we spoke about, to be fair.
Yeah, we went a bit swayed in. I think we'll just wrap it up because I'm sure we're going to do another one. We'll do another one very soon, hopefully. But
actually, what I would want to say is there was loads of views on the last one, but people didn't really subscribe. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'll say that as my final.
I appreciate it.
I thought I was going to expect your subscribers to go up.
They did, bro. They did.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they did. 100%. They went up.
I thought more than that.
200, 300. I told you, people. My audience is a bit weird. I don't know what it is.
You can do better.
I feel like I'm tainted. I wish I can. You know, do one of those like on 5,000 likes, 5K likes. Yeah.
We'll give away a Lambo. No,
you're buying it. He said it. Nah, I like it. That's gonna be the thingy, the intro now, the trailer. That's gonna be it now. That's it. I want to make sure Josh does it. Yeah. He's gonna say we're gonna bring away a Lambo, and then everyone's gonna click
it.
Yeah. Now we'll get the views.
That's the clickbait.
That's it.
Yeah.
Brother, it's been a pleasure.
That's been great.
As always, and we'll do another one very, very soon. Thank you guys. Obviously, drop your comments and let us know your thoughts. But thank you as always. Catch you on the next one.